My papi. The orange money thing have a fall. Anything you want, you can just get a check like this.
And guess what?
What?
Even my school fee. That is see orange money. That is see umpa. That is see anything. Anytime I anything go up, I just pay the piao. Come on. You and your unapa, you're always late. Yes, you're always late. With the orange money song, it can explain anything that orange money can do for us.
Orange money get song.
You come and listen to it. Anything for that matter that you come and see.
Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash.
Orange money, my life simple. Simple for my people. Orange money on my sinker. They got me feeling first class. With orange money, I can send money to my buying ganta. With orange money, I can send money to my mind loafer. Just that star 144 hash. Follow the instruction and do what you want. Just that star 144 hash. Follow the instruction and do what you want. If you want pay for LEC or pay your school fee, brother, you can use orange money. If you want buy your credit or pay your taxes, sister, you can use orange money. Oh.
Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash. Check that star 144 hash.
It's great to be here this morning, starting another brand new month. Today is October 1, 2021. Welcome if you're just joining us to today's presentation of the KMTV Morning Show with me, AMOS Thomas Momo. Lots of things happening in the country that we have to talk about. It's great to have us always here Mondays through Friday, 10 o'clock to 11, to discuss those issues that matters, those ones that we can find solution for, and those ones that we think we can keep talking about, and our leaders can see reasons in listening and finding solution that will help in developing Liberia, making Liberia a better place. We are here this Monday, today is Friday, and today is the 1 of October 2021. I'm humbled to be here with life, healthy, and strength to discuss Liberia. You know, there are too many things happening in the country, and if we just sit and not talking about those issues in the country, those ones that are confronting our people negatively, it is upon us and our generation to come, and they will call upon us that when you were there during those days, what was your contribution, what you did. So we are here this morning, but just before then, if you been following the social media or other radio stations, you understand that today happens to be the president of Liberia's birthday, and I think someone says social media is blocked right now with the photos of the president. But it's great to say happy birthday to you, Mr. President, His Excellency Dr. George Manning. We are you celebrate your birthday today. Happy birthday to you, the management and staffs of KMTV Liberia, wishing you happy birthday. They say happy birthday and wishing you success in your endeavor as you go about serving this country, serving humanity, and working to ensure that Liberia can be a better place for us. We want to say happy 55th birth celebration to you. This morning we're going to be playing host to a Liberian, an entrepreneur, an activist, a student leader, a man who is in the gap of deriving strategies that will help in transforming the life of young people. He's our guest this morning. He's the CEO of Educate West Point. And we will be sharing this platform together this morning. We'll talk about the institution he's come from. We're also going to be looking at other trending national issues, but basically we'll go deeper into the organization affairs and activities in the West Point area. I'm humbled to have with me as my guest this morning Musa Sheriff on October 1. Happens to be the first edition of the program in this month. He's our guest this morning. What's up? How do you think? Today's Friday will be a bit social.
Pleasure being with you.
Okay.
My name is Musa Sheriff, like you said. And I came from the township of West Point.
Okay.
You have already wished the president happy birthday, but it will also be a crime if I don't follow suit, especially coming from West Point. On behalf of the people of West Point, especially our field member, our Fishermen Association, we want to extend our happy birthday to the president. And last night we didn't sleep. We had a massive, celebration in West Point, from the football field all the way to Maracana. I hope one day you can visit and know where I'm talking about. Even in front of my own house, we had a massive celebration for the president. So, Mr. President, I want to say happy birthday to you. Thank you also to KNTV for affording me the opportunity to sit with you behind this microphone, especially giving people like us from the slum community the opportunity and such platform to come and discuss issues of national concern. So I'm happy to be here today, Friday, and the president is also lucky that his birthday fall on Friday. And for we that came from the Muslim faith, we will not go to club to celebrate, but we'll go to the mosque and pray for him, because we know if God bless him and direct him with more wisdom, Liberia will be a better country. Thank you so much.
Certainly, this is the platform that gave opportunities to everyone, irrespective of your race, religion, nationality. What is about the growth and development of Liberia, the mother of online television, KMTV, will also always be here to provide the platform and opportunities so that we come here and discuss those issues that matters. How's life going on?
I mean, it's not all easy, but personally I'm grateful to God, and I'm also grateful that in my lifetime I'm contributing to the growth and development of this country. I am a social worker. So I have always concentrated my mind in that direction. Like you said, I am the founder and CEO of Educate West Point. So there are some challenges, but I'm happy every day seeing the level of work we continue to do in the slum communities across District 7 and Liberia at large. So 90% of my life I live a happy moment, seeing the kind of change that continue to happen under my leadership at Educate West Point.
As you go about telling us a little bit about yourself, I want you embedded into your brief introduction. What brought about the name Educate West Point? Because I've been thinking about this name, Educate West Point, Educate West Point. You'll be telling us a little bit about the synopsis, about the origination of that name. But tell us a little bit about yourself firstly.
So I am Musa Sheriff. My father here from Nimba County. My mother also here from Lofa County. But I was born in West Point, and I partly lived a refugee life in Guinea when the war came. There where I did most of my schooling, and I also partly schooled in Liberia. Very lately during the Ebola crisis, there where I got inspired to join the humanitarian field. I have always had a passion to help, but sometimes you need a platform and the right platform to be able to execute your dream. So I firstly entered into the social work field as ambulance driver 2014, where I was able to work within the Ebola outbreak, and then based on what I demonstrated, I did get a job in Maryland County where I served as logistic coordinator, managing the 3 counties, managing Maryland, Grand Creek, and Riwaji. So during my stewardship there, I was able to, attend a lot of seminar programs, leadership training, and based on my position, my job was to support program. And the fact that you support program, it gave you an idea or deeper idea of how program runs. So there where I came across a lot of programs, and I spent 5 years in Maryland County successfully. And lately in 2017, when my organization was exiting, leaving Liberia, I decided to think about what to do next, because you all know in Liberia we do not have job security. When you lost one job, it takes you another time to get another job. So I decided to think about what to do. And one of the things I did when I graduated from high school, I was a taxi driver. So one of the things I was thinking about is to come back and buy my own taxi, get back on the field, make my own money. But one thing continued to bother my mind was, how can you hear from a slum community that is characterized with a lot of human rights violations, and you have had the opportunity to come and work in a sector where you have gained a lot of knowledge? Why can you go back to the slum community and do something? Even if you are not able to change everything, but go and do something. So that inspiration came in where I decided to come back to my community and start to do something. So when I came back, I started to think about what type of name to give to this endeavor. I could have named this endeavor Musa Sheriff Foundation, because this foundation is my foundation, supported by other permanent people across this global world. But I wanted to give it a name that will have some level of meaning. So what I did, if you look at West Point, if you ask somebody from outside West Point now, what do you know about West Point? The first thing that comes to mind is West Point is a gangster community. West Point is a community where you have a lot of thieves, criminals, but we only think of the west of West Point. So I said, well, since I'm coming up with a program that will be focusing on doing humanitarian services, so I want to portray the positive image of West Point, even outside West Point, so I need to give it the name of West Point, so that when people see the work we do, they will think of something better from West Point. So I decided to give it the name Educate West Point, so that when we are working in Sinker, we are working in Congotown, we say Educate West Point is working. So we say, wow, you have an institution from West Point serving humanity. So my goal and the goal of the name is to push the positive image of West Point outside West Point.
So great of you. I think it is clear, a description of giving back to society, and that is very, very welcoming, most especially in this difficult time. A young man trying to give back. There are too many challenges involved, though we'll talk about those ones. But I think for even creating or getting the mind to give back to society is work of commendation. I think it is 100% welcoming, and I think other people, young people who are getting a little for them, their family can be able to follow same direction. How's the organization going? Tell us a little bit about some of the activities since you started.
The organization is doing tremendously well, and if one is to sit and look at the success story of this organization, they have exceeded expectation. We started 2017 with no source of resources, just me and few other people who I know coming together to say, what, Musa have this dream, he want to execute this dream, now giving a little hand support. We started just like that, but today I can tell you safely that we have direct beneficiary of 400 children that we provide direct education to. I'm not talking about other people that just receive like supplies for all like book, like uniform, like other assistance. I'm talking about direct full support. We have over 400 children that benefit from that. And I also have another program where we distribute reusable menstrual cup to over 3,400 women across the 3 slum community. And we have also gone working in other part of Molovia like the Anya Factory Bell and etc. And we also have launched the first public library in West Point, which is used by the entire community. So I cannot give you an estimate number of that, because the community will have over 60,000 people. And out of that, we have over 20,000 children that go to school. So the library is open, and we just launched the computer literacy program, where we decided to add technology to the regular education. So these are things, and we also did a livelihood project where we, took few single mothers, trained them on business, struggling single mothers, trained them about business management, and also did some cash injection within their businesses. For example, we train you, ask you what type of business you want to do, why you want to do this, and be able to work in line with you and give you money as well to do that business. So we have been involved with that. Our work is reaching over to thousands and thousands of people, and we hope to reach out to more and more people.
You are talking about a lot of good things. You are a young man. I'm not, assuming, but I think you are not in government. You are a private man. How do you get money to do all of these things? Do you have international support, if you want to name a few of them?
Yeah, absolutely. What happened is that when I had the opportunity to work within the NGO sector, I didn't focus on money. What I focused on was my character and to be able to convince the outsider that I meant business and I meant for business and I really want to do something for my country. So through all my work with people, I have always told them my passion. They have seen it from me and they have seen it from my action. So I had a very good friend called Michel. He is an American who came to Liberia as a Peace Corps when the Ebola hit. So he and I, we met in one organization, and based on the level of work that I provided there, he automatically became one of my best friends. We've been together now for the past 6 to 7 years as a friend, and he had admired my zeal and the level of thinking and the sacrifices that I'm willing to offer my country, and he have also registered his interest to always be with me because he said he loved people with patriotism. So the establishment of Educate West Point was done strictly with him and I with another lady called Katie. They call Catherine Letterance. She is an American who came here during Ebola with one NGO called Partner in Health. So we all work in Maryland, and they really got inspired by the way I speak of West Point. And what I did, I took most of them to West Point to see what I'm talking about, for them to be able to see the reality of what I say to them. So what we did when we established Educate West Point Liberia, we also established Educate West Point United States. Okay. So the Educate West Point United States is the fundraising arm
for Educate West Point Liberia.
Okay. So what we do, most of our funding right now, we generate them from individuals. It's not like we're getting very huge donations, minimum and more than 500, 1,000. But the good thing is, because we are registered NGO in the United States, so we got what we call tax return. Okay. For example, if you are employed in the U.S., if you give them money, you get tax. They get the U.S. government with certain number of tax to you. To you. So that have been able to sustain us day by day. So we do not have money from government. All of the tremendous work we continue to do, we have never had any level of help from any government entity. But that is how we've been surviving.
Have you written any entity in government or agency in government to appeal for maybe an assistance before?
What happened is that if you would bear with me with sincerity and honesty, Liberia have always survived on who knows you and how do you get to the appropriate or rightful person. That have been the challenges of what we go through as institutions. We look forward to a day where organizations that the rest of the FPRC, the Freeport of Monrovia, the Central Bank of Liberia, the Ministry of Finance will come down to community level West Point and see organizations that are working there and be able to encourage them with some level of social corporate fund. But for now, we have struggled with connections in government.
When you carry those those of your supporters in West Point, and from your own analogy, how can you describe West Point? Because normally people say from the slum, you're from the slum. Don't have that fully getting involved in the observation of the slum area like West Point. What are some of the characteristics of citizens or inhabitants within the West Point area?
Before I was born, we were told that West Point used to be a place where criminals see as a safe home. Many people will go outside West Point and cause trouble and come and be secure in West Point. But since I began to know myself, especially my generation, have come down very high on those kinds of activity. So right now you have a lot of great people that have emerged from West Point. We can name some of them. They are great, even the Lord Shoto, the Ellis Tyler, the Kofi Wu. There are a lot of great people that emanate from West Point.
The president partly. The reason I didn't mention because he didn't fully live there. Okay. But from Gibraltar to West Point, that was how he moved everybody. But these are people who live in West Point. Like the Kofi Wu, some people even told me the less of Mary Bro, they live in West Point. Okay. You understand? So A.B. Krumah was born in West Point. These are great guys who came from there. And our generation right now, due to the education, a lot of people during those days, people highly focused on
fishing. You know, so you will see young men in my age, they never go to school. All they did was to go on the boat to fishing. But now you see people are going to school. So the life in West Point is quite different from what it used to be before I came to existence. West Point now is a lively community, decent set of people, educated, intellectuals that you can easily compete with. They are all in West Point. So West Point is a great community as I speak to you, and you will enjoy having a weekend in West Point.
And what are some of the challenges since you started? What are some of the challenges so far you have encountered in running the organization in the West Point community?
The challenge is that when you are a librarian running an organization to help your country, and you see people, the government is not coming in, like they don't give in a little bit to show appreciation to even the people that are helping you. Sometimes they just say they wonder what they are doing, their taxpayer money or their own money they send in your country is appreciated. Though we all know Liberia is not doing well economically, but when government institutions come in and give few assistance, it proves to the donor order that the Liberian, the government herself, who is responsible by law to make sure every citizen receives goods and services, are also concerned. But we have been into this field, and we have appeared on national radio stations like this, like the Banner FM, the Joy FM, and these are platforms that bring us close to our leaders, because I believe most of them, they follow those platforms, and they should be able to get concerned that a young man like this, who is able to articulate himself, have avoided politics, and just focus on social work, and have built an institution, continue to serve a slum community, they should be able to understand. It shouldn't be on the business of me, attacking a politician or going from station to station, intellectualizing things that I have no control over before they come to my aid. We that focus in this kinds of activity, government and government officials should see us as people that they can promote, so that our generation that are coming before us or after us will know that if I go into the field of humanity, social work, people will come to me, they will come to my aid. But right now we struggle, we feel hopeless, we feel like we are abandoned. You see people who does nothing, they are being promoted by politicians. So these are some of the internal challenges we have. We feel sad, sometimes we want to back off, because you see somebody who does nothing, become assistant minister because he supported somebody on the radio and insulted somebody. We that save, we work in the interest of our country. Everything that I do right now is to portray the effort of government. So government should come to my aid. I shouldn't be crying for government to come to the aid of Educate West Point. You know what I mean? To provide education for over 400 children, feed them every day. My institution has over 17 Liberians that work there. That is a burden that we take away from government. Provide them job, give them a little take home, so that they can be able to provide food for their family. Is government not seeing that not seeing us as a patriot citizen? So these are painful part of our work.
Now, schools are about to reopen. What are your focus? What are some of the dreams you or walk-ins you thinking of embarking on as school is about to open? So
for me, technically, the way I design my program, I don't even close.
Okay.
For example, if the government, we operate within we respect the guideline of what the Ministry of Education says, but what we normally do, if we're supposed to close, we transform that into what we call learn from home. Because what we have noticed is that there is a big gap in our educational sector, especially with our students. So our goal is to engage them 11 months a year. So even if we are not teaching them from classroom, we move to their houses and keep them attached to their variables. And every year or every month, I decide, I sit and think about how I can bring innovation to my program. So as I speak to you now, I'm thinking about how I can increase the existing number and how I can bring other new ideas to the already existing idea. So what I did recently, before this coming school year, I have already established the computer lab. So we are designing on how the kind of courses that we want to teach and how we want to teach it, how we want to plan our students. So these are things that I think about. My job is to strategize and bring innovation to the table and tell my team this is how I see it. We sit around the table, we discuss it, we consult our OOC partner. This is how we want to go about it and see how we move forward.
Is this institution the Educate West Point own? Is it this institution for the organization? Is it your own institution, or you have students in various institutions?
So I sponsor children in other institutions, and I also run an early childhood program, which is run strictly under my program, by my institution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any success stories since you started?
Yes, one of the greatest success stories is that we are breaking gap. Normally, you will see child at the age of 10 years old in ABC or first grade. The intent of the early childhood is to break that gap, because normally a 6-year-old child should be in first grade, or maybe a 7 years on a minimum should be in first grade. So by the age you are age 17, you are leaving out of high school, or maybe 18. So that is the normal year that many Western countries are using. So you will see that their children are 16 years, 17 years, they are leaving out of high school. So before you 21, 22, you get your BSc.
Okay.
So that has been a challenge for Liberia. The entire country, early childhood program have not been, the ministry have not really invest into that. The country have had serious challenge in that direction. And that part of the education is the most expensive education when it comes to early childhood, managing children. So what we have done is to establish that in West Point, and we have been able to carry on 2 successful graduations. And we're interested to know that we have graduate children between 5 years to 6 years that are now proudly sitting in grade 1 with competency, with the eloquence. So that is something that we are very proud of, and our goal is to ensure that children between the age of 5, 6 can go to grade 1.
Okay. What's the relationship with the Ministry of Education? Are they being responsive to your endeavors?
The ministry is they are the mother arm, and you have multiple organizations, both local and international. So what I did was to register with the ministry, as a registered NGO within the Republic of Liberia.
Okay.
And I did get a sectoral clearance. So besides that, I have no other business with the ministry. What I do, I work locally with the DEO, the District Education Officer. I work directly with her, and we do other activities. For example, she normally asks me to do a lot of activity, a lot of work for her within our territory, and we do that because we have an established office as organization. So normally when it comes to sharing information, receiving email, I'm partnering with her, but we are not getting anything like something
Kickback.
Yeah, different than just the regular work we work with the ministry.
Well, what about the great job you are doing in the township of West Point, right? Do you have any other motive or intent? Probably excluding humanity, political intent in time to come?
Specifically, you're referring to politics, right? Men by nature, we are all politicians, we are also social beings. So I'm interested in national conversation, and I'm interested in the betterment of Liberia. And I have also realized that for Liberia to get better, we will need sound policy. And we will also need people with the sober understanding of those policies and the execution of those policies. So I look forward to a day that I will have, a more bigger platform in national government to execute my dream.
Okay. Now let's get to on the national scene, because we'll run up to 10:50 because we have a press conference, very interesting press conference coming up. Let's look at the national scene. What's your take on firstly the performance of this government? But then I will want you give me your sincere analogy on the happenings in the government. The one that has to do with the ritualistic killing, the one that has to do with the response from the IG on Wednesday, wherein he was, indicting oppositions for being, the masterminders of what was unfolding in the country. What's your take on the way the country is proceeding?
I think, from my honest point of view, I am worried. When day break, I don't even know that I will see the night, and when the night fall, I don't even know what I will see the day. Because those that are dying, I'm not better than them. Mm-hmm. We are all aberrant. We shouldn't die the way we're dying. Mm-hmm. And what I have understand, bro, is the problem of dispensing justice. When the justice becomes weak, when people feel that they are not safe, they are not protected by the law, mm-hmm. or by law enforcement, they become very, violent, and things just become helter-skelter. Mm-hmm. In recent times, we have had so many deaths, and it will interest you to know that the police director will accuse opposition. Instead of arresting the situation, even if the opposition is responsible, get them to account for their act as long as you have evidence. Mm-hmm. But putting those things into political context, people are dying. Then you found policymakers, mm-hmm. people will depend on to execute, to put stop to this, are blaming each other while people are dying. Mm-hmm. It becomes troubling, it becomes sickly, and as I speak to you, that the young people are trying to meet today at the AME University, mm-hmm. to discuss about these things and how we can engage government constructively. But we are worried. It's terrible, my brother. It's sickening, and a lot of youth in Liberia are vulnerable. Most of us, we survive on a daily hustle. Mm-hmm. You go out to hustle, you don't come back home. We don't have security. We just out there. Anything happen to you, you die. There's no result. There's no report. Nobody is here accountable. Nobody is even, going. You don't even see that justice. There are a lot of people dying in this country with protests. We don't see no result. Mm-hmm. We don't see. The only thing you see is policy makers accusing opposition accusing government. There's no reaction. There's no result. So I don't really know. I'm confused.
Do you think it's at a point where, with these many challenges in the country, do you think it's at a point where we should be celebrating birthday? Do you think we should focus, or the government should focus mostly on the happenings in the country than what's going on today?
If I was the president, I couldn't have celebrated birthday.
Why?
Because I feel like, in my opinion, mm-hmm. I feel like the entire world have financial crisis right now. Mm-hmm. Liberia is no exception to that. And Liberia is even more suffering because we do not have a strong economy. So Liberia is being hit by what is happening from the global market, from the global world. Mm-hmm. So as a president, it is your responsibility to ensure that every citizen live a better life. So the fact that many of the citizens right now are not living that desirable life, so it should be of a concern to the president. Mm-hmm. And how do people know it is a concern to you? It is by your actions. So if I was the president today, I couldn't have celebrated birthday.
What could be some of the remedies?
One of the ways I could have celebrated my birthday is to maybe invest into other things that will bring some level of, like, for example, scholarship program, mm-hmm. or, but like the way it is being done, if I was the president, I couldn't have done it the way it is being done.
What do you think are some of the root causes of the way the government is proceeding? Probably one may say it is proceeding in a little bit of dilemma or errors and the expectation of the Liberian people back in 2017 to 2018 for which they elected this government. Do you see it coming to fruition?
I think we have expectation. We're all doing analysis on our expectation.
Okay.
Sometimes you must have reasonable expectation. The issue with Liberia, they didn't start 2018. Liberia started to have decline in our economy the moment 2016, 2017 when United Nations started to leave this country. We started to have some issues with our economy. Bringing on board the current president with his lieutenants, they also met challenges. But their ability to deal with these challenges, some of them have done well, and some of the government officials also see this movement as a movement to come in and raise wealth. So everything is now well, and we cannot also sit here and say everything is absolutely wrong. From my perspective, when it comes to social services to the citizen, I believe it has not yet reached to my full expectation.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want you to give me also your own observation about the proceeding of the opposition communities. Do you think they are proceeding in the direction where the government feet will be placed to the fire and this country can be entrusted to them to gain election comes 2023? From the rigmarole, the internal wrangling within the CPP and other oppositions community?
What I have noticed from my experience working with both international and local institutions, because institutions is institutions. They may have different agenda, but institutions is institution. So my point here is, even if the United Nations have some internal wrangling,
Sure.
if you bring on board people with diverse view, people with wealth, people with influence to come and settle for each other, it becomes a serious, issue. But the opposition current actions, doesn't seem promising. If the government in waiting cannot demonstrate a high level of leadership to her partisans, it becomes troubling. Because you cannot tell us that the current government, is not doing well, but you yourself, you are not managing your own issue very, well. So it becomes very troubling, and sometimes we are confused because you don't want to get all against the government while we see people who also play part. Before, they didn't change anything. You are telling us to bring them back. You understand? So you don't tell me to fire AMOS at KN TV, but you was at KN